Hello, my little Liebfrau Milches, and welcome to the Monday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, the guy in the gray satin shirt. Joining me is Bronk from merry old England and anybody else who wants to be part of the program, which means probably nobody. But
Nobody's watching, nobody's listening, nobody cares. And that's how we like it.
Now, everybody would rather start up, fires on social media, than
hang with a cow and a moose.
That's right. It's like, here you go.
That's the gong of truth.
It is. All right. First, we're going to start with the Cleveland Browns because that's where we always try to start if there's any news whatsoever. Kevin Stefanski opened his mouth about Deshaun Watson for the first time.
Did he?
He said that Watson is healthy, and that he has started to throw. Good. But he's not saying, he's going to start the season. Here's his quote. I've seen it from Deshaun. We've seen it from Deshaun. Don't have to look very far or have to look back too far. What he has accomplished on a bad ankle with a bad shoulder. He's so competitive, he really wants to keep attacking this rehab, so he's ready to go as soon as possible. However, he's right where he needs to be, Stefanski said. He started throwing. We'll see him in April, and we'll just continue that rehab. I'll stay out of it, and the doctors and trainers will tell me when he's ready. I know he's doing a great job. He's right where he needs to be. That's Kevin Stefanski saying, no, this is not on me. Don't throw this shit on me. So there's reason to believe that Deshaun Watson may not be ready. All right. Yeah. And even if he is ready, he may get hurt again rather rapidly. So Jameis Winston will get plenty of opportunities and reps with the first team guys in practices and in the limited preseason.
Yep, and Tyler Huntley too. Don't forget Huntley and Brinkley.
No, I don't even want to see him really. I just want to see him holding a clipboard. That's really all I want to see him doing. So, it's the next step will be to get Watson on the field and operating the offense. But Stefanski said, I wouldn't say that's a huge learning curve. I do think it's important that you challenge all of your players, Deshaun and everybody. You challenge them every year with something new, something borrowed, and something blue. The only thing blue are Cleveland Browns fans. I'm holding their breath, waiting for something good to happen. And that's why I'm not beholden to one terminology or one way. I think if you feel like there's a better way of doing it, you do it. Except we haven't seen that other way. We've just seen his way. Yeah.
And regrets he should have a few, but apparently he doesn't.
Too few to mention for him. All right. So what else is happening with the Browns? Well, officially announcing the re-signing of Rodney McLeod.
And Cade York.
And Cade York.
I saw 10 TV in Columbus. They put the headline up that Cade York had re-signed. And I go, the problematical and unreliable Cade York. I go, well, that's really going to help his confidence if he sees that.
Well, here's the thing with this whole Cade York thing, and people are saying, why are we doing this? And it's because this year, Destin Hopkins is contractualized. Next year, he's not.
Yeah.
He's going to want to go to another team, maybe, and there's no reason to think we are or aren't going to have him. Is he going to get injured like he has in several years previous to this, including last year? These things we don't know. So they're taking a gander at a guy that they drafted to see if his head has somehow come to match his leg strength.
I think it's a good signing. I like it. I'm in favor of it.
I'm neither in favor nor not in favor. The guy's going to have to prove himself, and
Sure.
my personal feeling is that if he hasn't learned from what's happened to him and he continues to bang his head against a brick wall, I don't want to have anything to do with
Well,
him.
it's the end of his career. If he can't make it through preseason and at least still be on the practice squad in September, then he's not playing NFL football anywhere.
Yeah,
And that's the piece of truth.
yeah. Browns fans shouldn't be all uptight about this because the fact of the matter is he choked the last time, and it's because he was stubborn and he wouldn't listen to anybody and he was lost in his own head. If that happens again, the same thing,
we had that idiot coach too.
yeah,
Prefer or whatever.
Prefer, yeah. Second verse, same as the first. If he doesn't change his ways. So saying, why would we waste our time with Cade York? We're really not wasting our time with him.
No.
What we're doing is we're giving him an opportunity to audition for his career.
Yeah.
And maybe he can help us out if Dustin Hopkins decides to go someplace else. But realistically, the Cleveland Browns right now are just kind of sitting and waiting on Deshaun Watson. And there ain't going to be anything to talk about until you get into the draft and until you get into what condition Watson is in. Now, I mean, that's all I got for the Browns. But the Cavs,
Well, I've got stuff for the Browns.
Okay, go ahead. Before we move on.
You probably saw that the Browns are now the Nigerian marketing team for the NFL in Nigeria. So old Chief Njoku was all in social media saying, welcome to Nigeria. So it's all part of the NFL plan to export CTE to developing countries so that they still have an NFL game and a pipeline of NFL players. And following on to that is that the NFL is allowing international players to have a extra spot in the roster, just for them so they don't get cut. And there is a Welsh kid who's in his early 20s, loves the NFL, has played for the Welsh national team in rugby, and ran a 4.44. And he runs like Nick Chubb, only he's Welsh. The guy's amazing. Zamet Smith. So if you guys haven't heard about this, check out his hype video on YouTube playing rugby. And he'll be a bitch to tackle. So I'd love to see the Browns pick him up and do something with him because rugby, basically, you have to be a two-way player. So you have to be fit. You're on the field the whole time. You have to kick the ball, and you have to catch a rugby ball, which is a lot harder to catch than an NFL football, something Anthony Schwartz wouldn't have been able to do. So that's watch out for this kid.
Well, I have come up with the punchline to your story, which is important for me, for my mental sanity. With the NFL banning the hip drop tackle, as the game is spread around Nigeria and such regional and national areas, it won't be long until spearing will be illegal too.
Correct, yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
The guy by the name of Mr. Jones in some movie, wasn't he?
All right. But that is true. The NFL is banning the hip drop tackle.
Well, it's a bit late for number 24, don't you think?
Well, that wasn't really technically that, and that's my point. The hip drop tackle, you lift the guy by his torso when you slam him hip first into the ground, all right?
Yep.
And that's what they're saying they're going to ban because it has a higher incidence of leg injuries. Now, what happened to Nick Chubb is he got stood up, the guys got wrapped up, and then the second guy comes in and spears him with his helmet in his knee. But that's fine. You're okay with that, NFL. But here's the bottom line. It doesn't matter what they ban, what they retain, and And this is what I hear for Double P saying from a lot of football
Yeah,
fans.
and I have too, and I got a comment to that.
Go ahead.
Which is probably different from yours, but go ahead. You do
No,
yours
you
first.
go. You go.
What's going to happen is that the NFL is not going to go to flag football. It's going to go to more rugby style tackling and rugby equipment where there's less CTE. So that's probably the way it's going to go. It's not going to go flag football way.
Well, if they turn the game into rugby, it will no longer be popular in America. But be that as it may.
Well, give it a chance, you know.
Nah. The flag football by 2029, Double P, laws are only good if they're equally applied. All laws. Okay?
Oh, that's the whole point of a legal system.
Right. So if they're considering banning certain things in the NFL, all I want to know is, will it be legal for the Steelers and the Ravens in our conference? Because
fairly.
it has been for decades. They get away with anything they want to get away with, and other teams get called for this nonsense. The teams who, well, they're going to lose anywhere and they're not important to us, those organizations will be the guinea pigs to say, oh, let's see how angry they get when we throw the flag on this one. But they never call it in important game situations with certain teams involved or certain teams at all. So it again is it's all crap. This notion that they're trying to clean up the game is all crap, because everything the owners have done by selling their souls to gamblers and to unsavory people and allowing teams to maim and injure each other, they've done nothing to make this a safer game. You never heard about that stupid foam helmet ever again. That was just good for a little bit of publicity for the NFL, which I already told you that headgear in boxing was proven to cause more concussions, not fewer, because of the extra bulk that's in there. It doesn't help because it's still reverberating the brain inside the head. So they're doing nothing to make the game safer, and they're never going to do anything to make the game safer. They're going to make the game safer for themselves. That's what they're going to do. So what do I think of the hip drop tackle? I looked at a lot of instances of it, and it kind of looks like something they would do in a professional wrestling move, where they wrap both arms around the hips and lift the guy off the ground, then slam him to the ground. Right. Yeah. It is almost like
it's a suplex, isn't it?
Except instead of going backwards, it's being driven directly into the ground, throwing them. These guys lift weights. Yeah, these people will lift weights like it's nothing. They can pick up any player and slam them to the ground. And the reason they're doing that is that's an easy way to get a guy to the ground. If he gets injured, so what? Because they're all trying to maim and injure one another anyway. And anymore, I really don't care. When players say, I'm going to play, then you open yourself up to all of this. I feel bad for people like Nick Chubb, who play the game correctly, who end up having their careers perhaps terminated by something as meaningless as what the Pittsburgh Steelers did. And I really hope, and I really mean this, I really hope that Mike Tomlin gets hit by a bus and can't coach anymore. I'll let him live, but not coach anymore. This is pathetic. And that's right, David Talevsky. Stefanski is not going to say, oh, I'm going to call the plays, because then everyone will be screaming. He'll announce it at the last minute. And what's Dorsey going to say? You know, Dorsey is he wants a job. For God's sakes, he wants to get paid. What's he going to do?
Yeah.
All right. Next up, the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh, God. I didn't see the game the other day, so do you want to tell me what sort of clusterfuck it was?
You don't know?
Well, I saw the score, but I didn't see any highlights.
They were down by as many as 45 points. They didn't even show
45 points.
But here's the thing. they asked, every player use the same word after the game.
Oh,
What would that word be?
oh, I was gonna say do better.
That's two words. One
Yeah,
word.
one word.
Anybody in the chat room can put the one word up.
Oh God, no, it's gonna be so obvious that go
Exhausted.
exhausted. Wow.
Now, this is interesting because before the season began, JB Bickerstaff stated that he was running the team preseason harder than he ever had because he wanted this up-tempo play and he wanted to make sure the players were fit to be able to last the season playing this up-tempo brand of basketball. And you probably remember
Wow.
that was the reason why he was talking about 9-10 players deep in the beginning of the season, was because he was going to shuttle people in and out and they're going to run up and down the floor.
No, I don't remember that at all, but I'm sure that.
Yes, that's what the way the season began. And so everything was being geared toward up tempo. And because the statistic that they use in the NBA is the pace of play, and the Cavaliers were one of the bottom teams in pace of play, he wanted to pick that up.
Yeah.
So
That I do remember.
yep.
Yeah.
And so that's how he burned his players out up to the All-Star break. And after the All-Star break, the team is exhausted. And of course, they got injured because of this stupidity as well. So when your own players say that they're exhausted, there's only one thing that you can do.
Quit.
Crawl through the rest of the season and lose in the first round and get JB Bickerstaff the fuck out of town. Again, like I told you, nothing personal against the man. Nice guy. But his strategy blows.
Well, they could fire him now. I mean, there's no reason to hang on to him.
Well, no, there's nothing to be gained by firing him now, unless Dan
Well,
Gilbert
what's
wants
the
to.
players want? Yeah.
No, if Dan Gilbert wants to show how big his testicles are, but he doesn't have to do that because he's already done that before. There's no point, and the players will not react well to that happening.
Okay.
At this point, they'll have to have a season to mull it over, an off season. And then they have to decide if they're going to take long vacations like they did last year, or if they're going to get into shape and get ready to play basketball, whether they're going to pick up muscle mass, Mobley and Garland, and whether Niang is going to lose weight and be respectable looking in the NBA. This is all what off seasons are for. And that's why you announce, hopefully, that you can get Budenholzer as your head coach or somebody with experience who knows how to run schemes, because definitely the scheme that JB Bickerstaff has selected simply isn't valid. Teams around the league have figured it out. I said this the last time that we played the Heat in a close game. They have us figured out. They have our number. They know this was so embarrassing that they came, and I'm looking at what Tony just put up. He's saying that Haslam has announced that Stefanski and Barry are close to contract extensions. I never really doubted that would be the case. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate the update on that. And now I've lost my train of thought, but that seemed to be more important.
Talking about Bickerstaff and God, we're both demented.
There you go.
Budenholzer. You're talking about getting in Budenholzer.
Yeah, well, you got to get somebody who at least has an idea of scheme, because look at what happened in this game. We came out and they put full court pressure and fell back into a zone, and our guys couldn't read it. And the bench didn't do a thing about it. Not a thing. And we turned the ball over 3 of our first 5 possessions in the game. And it all went downhill from there. So the whole game was just a team that was, by their own admission, exhausted, but one that didn't care. And these are all signs that the head coach has to leave. It also, there are people who are saying we got to get rid of Darius Garland. We've got to get rid of Mobley. We got to get rid of Okoro. I say no at this point. I'm not thrilled with the way Darius Garland is playing. I think in fact, it's regression of the highest order. But I know he has talent. Right. It's guys like George Niang who I would just pay him off and get rid of him because he doesn't even have the pride to get in condition.
Yeah.
And we have people like Sam Merrill and people like Imani Bates, younger players or guys who are working hard to be in condition who can throw up threes. I mean, for God's sakes, Imani Bates should have already played by now. I don't understand. It's like watching, Chris Porter Jr. just be limited in what he does when we don't have a true backup point guard. None of it makes sense. He's gone back on his word of playing 9-10 deep and is going back into 7 and 8 man rotations. The old JB, because JB is JB. He cannot play an up-tempo game. He's unable to make adjustments on the fly. He's dim-witted when it comes to strategy, and he's locked in his own box, and he can't get out. That's the best way I can put it.
Wow.
He's just lost in his own way. Tony is back again saying, Jimmy and G has them say they're exploring a domed stadium outside of downtown Cleveland and optioned the 176 acres in Brook Park.
Well, that area used to be where Chevrolets and Fords were manufactured back when that Cleveland area had
interesting
car manufacturing. So it's probably all decayed out factories and land that is like brownfield land that probably needs decontaminating before you can build a stadium on. But it'd be right out by the airport. They could put hotels there. And you wouldn't even have to go near downtown Cleveland. You just go on I-480, get off near the airport, and there would be this stadium, and there you have it.
Well, the double P, you're fine with DG, but not with Mitchell still on the team, and that's where you're incorrect, because Darius Garland, you have to look at this team. It's not progressed under this head coach. That doesn't mean they're unable. It just means that they're not being taught. Why blame the student when the teacher isn't doing his job? The fact is, if Mitchell stays with the Cavaliers, you damn well better keep Darius Garland, because that's going to be the way. If you can get these two men playing in a scheme that works for all players on the floor, not just one or two players, then everybody's going to get theirs. And also you have to decide on a serious rotation. And when I say a serious rotation, it's like, all right, fine. You've got Karis LeVert, who's a gunner off the bench, but he's not a backup point guard. You have CPJ, who I wanted to see more of this year to see whether he was the real deal to be an NBA backup point. All right, but we haven't got a chance because JB won't play him. And then you've got the Tristan Thompson, which is a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's a great guy and a hustler, but he's of no value to the team whatsoever. You've got Evan Mobley, who you've got to hold on to, but he's got to build up more strength. And the coaching staff has to do more than just stop him at the elbow and just stand around handing balls off to people or, trying to back somebody down without having developed a mid-range fadeaway shot. It's unbelievable how little JB Bickerstaff has worked with these players. Darius Garland has gotten beaten up. And the reason he's beaten up is because he tried to go to the basket too many times. He got bitch slapped, and he's not strong enough. He's got to take the offseason to build up about 10 to 15 pounds of muscle mass and get stronger, not so he can continue going to the hoop. but so that he can play a little better defense and that his body will hold up during the course of a season, because he's not playing more than 60, 65 games out of 82, and that's not good enough.
Yeah.
Not good enough. So,
well,
that's what that is. And
he pretty much already said this in previous shows, so
yeah,
there's not really much more you can add to it, you know?
Well, there is, in the sense that you got to decide who the players are who are in your rotation and who is not.
Oh, well, then that's a terrible indictment when, particularly like if you were in England running an English team and you don't know who your best players are, then that's when the coach gets fired. So that's what happens here.
Max Strus never played this many minutes in his career when he played in Miami. He was a much more effective player in Miami than he's been for us. But every player is underachieving is what it really amounts to.
Yeah.
Mitchell is more hurt than he's been any other of his years playing in the NBA. Garland more hurt and now trepidatious. He's afraid to even go anywhere near the paint, or he just throws up wild shots to try to avoid physical contact. Then you have Mobley, who hasn't done a damn thing to change his body and his game, except he does have a better three-point shot, but we don't need him shooting for three because we were supposedly, that's what we got Niang for, and that's why we got Sam Merrill, and that's why these guys.
And
they were supposed to be, these guys supposed to be coming off the bench. We have Emoni Bates, and he takes almost all of his shots from behind the arc, and he came in 9 minutes and scored 9 points when the game was all completely decided. Give him an opportunity to play. He cannot be worse than Niang defensively, because Niang is a complete liability. Complete.
Well, that last game we won like a week ago, with that new guy Morris or whatever shot like 5 threes in a row or something crazy that I was watching.
You got to space the floor for a 34-year-old man to get open shots. And if you don't believe me, take a look at Kevin Love when he played for the Cavaliers. If you want open shots from the perimeter like that, you got to have Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, who can threaten and force doubles on the ball so that other men are open. And Marcus Morris is a guy who can get some things done off the bench. I just don't think George Niang can, because he's reduced to dribbling the ball, and it's dangerous.
Yeah.
There's no reason why he should be doing that. So that right off the bat, I mean, to say that the Cavaliers hit rock bottom is just not nearly enough. What the Cavaliers did is they proved that the Heat deserved to have their place
in the playoffs.
Yep.
Above them.
And also the Magic deserve to, and also the Knicks deserve to. The Cavaliers only deserve to be in the play-in and out just as quickly. Their season is a runaway train. We've heard that before. Nothing is going to get better as long as that coach is part of this team. And he's going to run it completely into the ground until he's replaced right after the season. And Dan Gilbert will terminate him immediately, because he's obviously got his eyes on somebody at this point in time. And we'll see if it's Budenholzer or another experienced coach. But he's got to be able to keep Mitchell and Darius and Mobley together, because what's going to entice a coach if Mitchell leaves? He's going to be a lame duck. It could be another lame duck rebuild, and
I mean, here's a weird question for you: is there a cap on what can be paid to a coach or coaching staff?
I really don't know that.
That just suddenly occurred to me. Is there any rules about that? Like, could you pay a coach a ridiculous amount of money if you wanted to? I don't know. We'll ask the chat room. Somebody will know.
Yeah. DJ Brobot, he's tired. The Cavs not bringing stretch
I'm
guys
tired
in.
too.
You got a bunch of 6'7" and shorter guys. You have a guy who's 6'9" legit, and Emoni Bates, who can shoot the three, who's never seeing the floor. I know he's young and he's inexperienced, but if you're losing anyway, get something good out of it. It doesn't make sense. And we've got Damian Jones, and that doesn't really count. But the whole idea of this team, as put together by JB Bickerstaff, was, and the front office, was to have Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. But they have not ended up like David Robinson and Tim Duncan. And the reason is the NBA's changed. And this may not work at all.
So double P saying no. I take it that's to my whether you can pay a coach a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah, I'm sure they have rules about that.
Yeah, I would think so, but anyway.
Yeah. Hi, Joe. How you doing? Yeah. Ravens. It's not even your time of the year yet. The Cavaliers play tonight, by the way.
It's fucking March, man.
Again, at home against the Hornets, and and the Hornets are no good. If they lose to the Hornets, then that would be and coming off back-to-backs where they're exhausted. What do you expect is going to happen? I wish that they would play some of these younger players, for God's sakes, and spare these older players of just busting up, just like Strus has, like Mitchell has. It's and the schedule only gets worse. Believe me, this team may have 2 wins left, and they're both against the Hornets, and the rest of the games, they're going to lose. They're playing really good teams. The Charlotte Hornets are 17-53.
17-53. That's grim.
Yep.
Is Michael Jordan still associated with them, or is he long gone? Is he still around?
Who?
Michael Jordan.
No.
What happened to him?
I don't know. He's still looking for his father in a riverbed. I got no idea. So that's the Cavaliers. As far as the Guardians are concerned, they've returned a Rule 5 player to Arizona. That would be Davison de los Santos.
Great name.
Yeah, this is a guy who they said, what the hell, we're going to pluck him off the Arizona roster because he showed that he has some power potential, and we don't have any power on the team. The problem is that De Los Santos, and Arizona took him back, in essence, what it amounts to. And they dropped him they brought him from a single A to double A, and that they just have moved him back by the end of the season all the way back down to low A ball. And obviously there's a reason for that, and the Guardians found that out, and he is no longer. So that's kind of wonderful news for the Guardians, who start their regular season on the road in Oakland, where Shane Bieber will be starting, trying to look good so somebody will offer the Guardians something in return for him.
I mean, how long are the Oakland A's going to be existing? Aren't they moving to Vegas at some point, or when is that? Isn't that happening, or
I don't know?
Or did I just dream that? Maybe I dreamt that. I thought they were moving.
Now, Double P is saying no. He's saying there's no cap, and you can pay somebody whatever you want.
Whatever you want. Huh?
Yeah. So
wow.
I bring Hubie Brown back.
Well, it's better than having to listen to him.
No.
Oh God, that is torture listening to him doing Cavs games.
I'll tell you this now. Hubie Brown. Can you hear what I'm saying? Turn up. Yeah. Here's another thing I have a problem with. I have a problem with Bally Sports Cavalier broadcast.
Oh God.
And it goes something like this. Now we'll go to Serena Winters down at courtside. Well, what do you see going on out there on the bench? Somebody turn her fucking mic up. How could this happen every fucking broadcast? How could this happen? Don't they do sound checks? I do sound checks for this shit fuck of a podcast.
You do. I've seen them.
So Serena, no, wait, I should do. I can do this. Okay, go ahead. You turn it over to Serena.
So Serena, how's it going on the courtside tonight? Is that right? That's excellent news, Serena. We'll look forward to seeing that later in the game.
Oh my God. It's like, and I'm holding my head saying, this is the most Mickey Mouse broadcast in the world.
Oh, wait till we see the Guardians.
Her mic is permanently dead, or, it's like, well, it sounded good, 3 hours ago. It's like nobody was in the building, you stupid fox. Somebody explain this to me like I'm a 3-year-old.
Yeah, it's different with an empty arena than one with people in. Oh,
and then there's this. Mike McDaniel says the Dolphins have an offer out to Odell Beckham Jr. That's right. He's still in the headline.
He's still alive. Oh my, he just never goes away. He's like toe fungus. He just doesn't go away. No,
and there's no medication to get rid of him.
Nothing for it that works.
And his attitude is contagious.
He is the toe fungus of the NFL.
God almighty. It's like, that's what the Dolphins wanted to hear. That's going to make them a better team. He has ruined every team he played for.
He is a cancer on the team. He's worse than Ron Rivera.
And so that's all I wanted to mention about that, because anything more is saying more than I should.
Too much air.
Then there's Deion Sanders.
Oh.
Deion Sanders has come out and said...
He's come out? Oh, yeah, good for him.
My son, Shadur, and Travis Hunter, the other guy I dragged out to Colorado for no apparent reason, that they will control the 25 NFL draft fate.
Wow.
In other words, it won't be the teams picking them. It'll be them picking the teams. Get this. I know where I want them to go, Deion Sanders said on a podcast. It's certain cities that ain't going to happen. It's going to be an Eli. Well, we know what that is. Eli Manning. Yep.
Yeah, John Elway did that too.
Yeah, he was picked by the Chargers. He said he wouldn't play there.
Yep.
Instead, he went to the Giants. So, so he knows where, where his son and his player, Travis Hunter, is going to go. And nobody else is going to, and he's going to threaten, if you go ahead and draft him, they're going to bail on you and you're going to get nothing.
Wow.
This is the age of everybody throwing their muscle around.
Well, the draft, to be fair, the draft is a bit fucked up, though, when you really look at the logic behind it. It's socialism in action, giving the worst team the first pick, What I would like to see is that if you put all the teams in the pot and you just draw them out on the day so that anybody could get the first pick as a total surprise on the day. And then that organization has to have somebody out there ready to draft. You could end up having the Super Bowl champs get the first pick. I would love to see that. That would be fucking amazing.
Well, if they could fix it so that the Steelers and the Ravens and the other teams that seem to matter to them always get the top picks, why not?
Exactly. They
doesn't make any difference anyway.
Have a bag of ping pong balls with each team's name on it, and you get Deion Sanders, pull the ping pong ball out and go, the first pick goes to the Miami Dolphins. Woo!
But Joe Robot, he's saying, keep talking, your son won't get drafted at all. And you don't want to play
that's the old world
with the owners, because they'll also make sure you never get hired, Deion Sanders. And Sanders, I'd be worried about what's going to happen next year at Colorado, because you sucked big moose dick after the beginning of the season.
I enjoyed it.
Moose dick. Big, huge moose stick. Keep your fucking mouth shut. Now, it isn't enough that if he's drafted that he's going to make more money than God,
Yeah.
that's not enough. Now it has to be he gets to pick where he plays. Not that his son gets to pick, but that he gets to pick. Now, would you want that guy as your father?
No, I'd rather have LeBron James as my dad than Deion Sanders if I had a choice between the two.
And LeBron has come out and said, that if Bronny, if it's not the pros, it'll be something else. It's
exactly
not the end of the fucking world. Then meanwhile, while we're talking about delusions, the Chargers' new man, Jim Harbaugh, said
I heard about this.
JJ McCarthy is the best quarterback in the draft. You're the biggest fucking psycho in the NFL, you bespectacled prick. He looks like a demented Ted Danson. That's what he looks like.
He looks like Defense from that Michael Douglas movie. You can imagine him going into a McDonald's with a semi-automatic weapon and shooting the place up. But
yeah,
and
he'll have plenty of time to prove that.
JJ McCarthy.
Let him go where he can go, and let the teams draft him, and maybe he'll be a great surprise. He had a ton of time to throw at Michigan. Yeah, look, he had a ton of time to throw. There are a lot of plays that people are citing, and he's like standing back there forever. It ain't going to be like that in the pros. And look, if Justin Fields looked as bad as he did, you never know what any rookie is technically going to look like once they hit the field for the first time. And I would expect nothing less of Jim Harbaugh than to praise his former player.
Yeah. I can't see JJ McCarthy being the next Tom Brady from Michigan.
The odds,
but I could be wrong. Yeah. The odds are. We'll ask Tony the Calf what the odds are on that one.
Now, this is believable that the Commanders are considering JJ McCarthy at number 2. That would be very typical.
Wow.
I tend to believe that.
Wow. That'd be amazing.
God almighty. Do make it stop. And here's another one. Sean Payton not stressing over Broncos quarterback situation. It's like,
yeah.
Listen to this. When they asked him, why aren't you concerned? He said, I would rather that the concern be now than in September and October.
That's not even an answer.
6 NFL teams have signed free agent quarterbacks who could serve as their starters next year or this year. But the Broncos have stood pat with Jarrett Stidham, the same guy who failed in New England, right? Peyton has said, well, we're not going to just sign a quarterback just to sign one. And clarified that the franchise has reached no conclusion on Stidham's potential as a future starter. He said it's realistic to think that the Broncos could trade up from their spot at number 12 in next month's draft, and revealed they conducted a private workout with JJ McCarthy. Hey, while the crater is big in Denver,
wow,
why not? Why not put him in Denver in the rarefied air?
Remember this show. If JJ McCarthy becomes the next Tom Brady, we're going to say, remember that time we just sat around and made fun of his ass for 15 minutes?
We're all wrong about everything in these drafts, man. I mean, that's just that. The 49ers have stated that Ayuk is not available for trade after all, and that contract talks are underway. Standing on the sideline at Michigan's Pro Day last week, San Francisco 49ers general manager John Lynch and Pittsburgh Steelers coach Mike Tomlin shared a laugh when Tomlin brought up Brandon Ayuk. Speculation about Ayuk's future with the team has persisted for more than a year. Speaking to a small group of reporters Monday at the NFL League meetings, Lynch offered his definitive statement. Tomlin is like, bro, what's going on? Lynch said, laughing. I promise you nothing's going on there. We're actively talking with Brandon, trying to figure something out. That means he'll be a Steeler next week.
Probably.
All right.
Yeah.
Just how the. Ayuk, meanwhile, posted an Instagram story Monday afternoon with a bunch of emojis that, when strung together, translate to money talks, bullshit walks. Great attitude. I love it.
Wow.
Yeah, and the league already is helping out the Steelers as much as they can. And if he's going to end up anywhere, that's where he'll end up because, well, that's just the way it has to be. It's the way it'll always be. There are debts owed to that family. This is kind of like the mob, like the mafia. And the family name goes a long way.
And they have their own territory, and nobody steps into somebody else's territory.
Art Rudy Sr., do you know he had people killed for the NFL? I'm going to start all of this goddamn conspiracy theory shit,
I could believe that. Yeah. He probably had Mickey Rooney killed, but anyway. No, I
missing. He kept aiming high. I don't know what that's all about. I would only have to hear, let's have a show once and shoot him right in the fucking head. I got a show for you.
I still like my idea for the draft. It's just random. And then you wouldn't have teams tanking anymore, would you, at the end of the year? They'd have to just play their games out. So,
and if you don't believe that the league is in cahoots with the Steelers, the Bears general manager says he tried to help Justin Fields by trading him to the Steelers. Isn't that nice? He's a humanitarian.
Yeah, he is. That's like a Nobel Prize effort there. Yeah, he's right up there with Mother Teresa.
Ryan Poles is his name. I was a little bit surprised, Poles said at the league Monday's meeting on Monday. But as you do research and have conversations, kind of have to adjust to the market. It was just a smaller pool of teams that would be interested in a player like Justin Fields. So, I did him a favor. I thought, what would be best for him?
Wow.
Like, I really care about him. I only got a 6th round pick for him, but it's what's best for him.
Yeah, like they cared about Dwayne Haskins. Or is it too soon to bring up him?
Yeah. He believed the opportunity to send Fields to a place with a clearer path to compete was doing right by the 25-year-old. By the way, the Steelers have stated unconditionally that Russell Wilson is their starter. That is, no, seriously.
No, I'm sorry. I was laughing at what Amsterdam had posted. That's a great place to go.
Yeah. And this, before we get out of here.
We're getting out of here.
I'm getting out of here.
You're getting out of here.
You're going to be getting out of here too. Woody Johnson.
Woody
just has to keep on.
He's the ambassador to America, to England.
He's the worst owner in the NFL. Spare none. He's the worst.
He could be. Yeah.
He makes Jimmy Haslam look like a hero and a genius.
Yep.
Here's owner Woody Johnson. He vows to keep quarterback Zach Wilson if he can't trade him. While the Jets remain motivated to trade him, Woody introduced another potential outcome. If we don't trade him, we're going to keep him, Johnson told the small group of reporters. He criticized Wilson's 2023 performance, but he walked back those comments, perhaps in a feeble attempt to stimulate interest in Zach Wilson. He called Zach Wilson a valuable asset. But in his next breath, he acknowledged that a trade would be best for Wilson. I mean, it's like, I don't want anyone to think that the guy sucks donkey dick. So I'm going to say, if you don't trade him, we'll keep him. And that way somebody will come out and go, okay, we'll take him. No, it doesn't work that way, Woody. You're a stupid fuck. You're one of the dumbest people on the face of the earth. You got a 40-year-old man and gave him a 3-year contract, and he's played 4 snaps for you. and he's a head case, a conspiracy theorist, a big mouth, and is going to draw all the wrong kind of attention, and he can't really play football very well anymore.
No.
Congratulations, Woody Johnson, you win.
Wow.
God. Unreal. Meanwhile, the Jets signed Tyrod Taylor to a 2-year...
Tyrod Taylor, he's still alive.
Yeah. Robert Saleh called Taylor an elite locker room presence. I mean, he can't play anymore.
Play.
Yeah, but he can cheer people on.
Yeah,
Oh,
he can
my God.
entertain people in the locker room with amusing anecdotes and stories and dance moves.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to say today. The Cavaliers will be on at 7 o'clock if your stomach is strong enough to watch it. And I may sneak a peek in just to shake my big cow head. But everybody, have yourself a good week. I'll be back again on Friday with the next installment.
Friday's a good Friday.
Radio.
Friday's a very good Friday.
That's right. You know?
Yes. Yeah. There you have it.
There you have it.
Where
Thanks,
was
Bronk.
I going with that?
I don't know. You probably lent it to someone else.
Yeah, lent it. Well, how are the Woolly Bears doing? Are they doing all right?
The Woolly Bears got caught in the tornado.
No.
And what happened was an incredible rug was woven when they were stuck in the twister.
Wow.
I'm on dope.
Now it's snowing again, so there you have it.
There you have it. Yep. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. Back again Friday. Thanks, Bronk. Thanks, everybody.
Hello.
And until next time, hasta la vista, Pastor Eds. Good night.